While Nietzsche died in the year 1900 and cannot be held responsible for how the Nazis used his ideas much later, it is not difficult to understand why Hitler liked them. Third, we have Sigmund Freud, whose indictment of conscience is still persuasive for many Western liberals. Freud believed that when children are born, they are naturally dominated by their quest for pleasure, which quickly evolves from the pleasures of food to the pleasures of sexuality. Because a world dominated by the principle of pleasure will be chaotic and not governable, since times immemorial, Freud said, parents teach their children that some things, while pleasurable, are forbidden. By repeating the same prohibitions time and again, parents create in the children, Freud said, what he called superego, that he said religions mistakenly call conscience. For Freud too, conscience is not innate, it is created by the repetition of parental prohibitions, which the children internalize, so that when they grow up and parents are no longer there, they keep hearing a voice and they believe it's the voice of the conscience, but in fact it's the voice of their parents that they remember. Contrary to some simplistic accounts of his ideas, Freud didn't believe that conscience should be simply eliminated. To avoid social chaos, a modicum of conscience, in fact superego for Freud, was necessary. However, Freud thought that conscience should be considered with skepticism, if not hostility, because particularly in the sexual sphere, parents tend to be conservative and to instill in their children old-fashioned and reactionary principles. In 1965, French philosopher Paul Ricoeur called Marx, Nietzsche, and Freud the three maîtres du soupçon, the masters of suspicion, that made us regard the conscience as something suspect. Because of these three ideologues, many, unfortunately, no longer trust their conscience. They are no longer sure that it is the innate voice of God or the human nature, and they may ask themselves, what if the masters of suspicion were right? And what we call the voice of conscience is in fact the voice of those who want to deny us the right to revolution, to power, and to pleasure. As Ricoeur noted, the damage done by Marx, Nietzsche, and Freud is incalculable, because they gave us a world without conscience. And a world without conscience is open to all totalitarianism and all forms of oppression. There is only one way to answer them and get rid of the suspicion, and it's the way of Dr. Hong. It is not to write books about conscience, although they may be useful, or advocate that Thomas Aquinas or Kant, who in different ways believed in conscience, taught a philosophy was not only more persuasive, but also more beneficial to humanity than the masters of suspicion. I agree, but the damages the latter did are so deep that philosophical discussions will not retard our lost conscience. The key, as I mentioned in the beginning, is to insist on the fact that conscience is not complicated. It is basically simple. And yes, it is innate. The still small voice will tell us to give back that $100 bill given to us by mistake, even if we have never studied conscience in a class of philosophy. Conscience is just there. Some years ago, Dr. Hong sent to me as a gift for the new year 2021 a desk calendar called the Maxims of Conscience. It had a maxim about conscience for each month. And the maxim for January was precisely conscience is innate. And the maxims of the following months documented this truth. We learn that relying on conscience creates wisdom, peace, happiness, social solidarity, love. I know each of these maxims can be demonstrated philosophically, but we can immediately grasp in our personal experience that they are true. And we also experience that abandoning conscience and following the masters of suspicion create war, unhappiness, social chaos, oppression, concentration camps, and a distracted criticism of morality. When December came, Dr. Hong's desk calendar told me that conscience, I quote, can change the world. The world is growing inside the pupa, a compass of conscience, and it can break through the cocoon and transform into a dazzling butterfly. Yes, it is as simple as that. And we should all be grateful to Dr. Hong for being the champion of conscience in a time of history when conscience needs to be defended. Thank you. And now we continue discussing conscience, but particularly with relation to Qigong, with a speech by Rosita Sciorite from European Federation of Freedom of Belief, and unfortunately she cannot be with us today, so we will hear from her through a video.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I don't know at what time my presentation will be. So I'm very glad to be part of this conference, and I'm very sorry that we could not be in person. But still, I hope that my speech will be effective enough. So it's about Tai Chi Men, Qigong, conscience, and freedom. Last month, the United States Commission on International Religious Freedom published a report on the deteriorating conditions of freedom of religion and belief in the European Union. The report mentioned that in France, a great number of religious and spiritual movements, practices, are stigmatized as dérives sectaires, which in English would be cultic deviances. The main accuser is a French governmental agency called Miviludes, which translates Inter-Ministerial Mission for Monitoring and Combating Cultic Deviances, whose reports have a great influence on French media and above. But at the same time, Miviludes reports are routinely criticized by scholars for their prejudices and mistakes. Coincidentally, also last July, French and Belgian media were reporting that the Miviludes had warned the French citizens against Reiki, described as a pseudoscience that may include cultic deviances and induce some to refuse to be treated by doctors with dangerous and possibly lethal consequences. I myself practice Reiki and know perfectly that Reiki is not and should not replace conventional medical treatment. People with health issues should strictly follow medical healing protocols established by doctors. Reiki may be an effective energetic healing practice, which, combined with medical treatment, may contribute to exceptional healing of a sick person. As in all large communities, it is possible that some Reiki practitioners are dishonest and abusive, just as there are corrupt Catholic priests or corrupt French politicians and bureaucrats accused of misusing public funds, including the former president of already mentioned Milius, who resigned in the last month of June for misuse of public funds. But this is not a reason to slander all Catholic priests or all French politicians or all Reiki masters. In fact, Reiki developed in the early 20th century by a Japanese teacher called Mikao Usui, and phenomenally successful throughout the world after it was brought to the West by a female master, Havaya Takata, and is simply based on the traditional Eastern Asian teaching that a universal energy key flows through the universe. With the help of a practitioner trained by the experienced master, this energy may be mobilized to restore imbalances and achieve physical, mental, and spiritual benefits. The Japanese word ki is the equivalent to the Chinese qi, now more often translated exactly as qi, not as ki. It corresponds to one of the two Chinese characters forming the word qigong. Reiki is not a religion and has practitioners of all religions. However, scholars who studied the life of Usui noted that although a Buddhist, his grave is in Borland Buddhist Temple in Tokyo, he studied for years esoteric Taoism as well as Christianity. Teachings about Qi are also at the heart of the experience of Taiji Men, whose Shifu, Grand Master, Dr. Hong Tai-tse, has inherited a tradition rooted in esoteric Taoism. Taiji Men moves from a traditional version of Qigong as a way to slow down breathing to feel the pulse of nature. It teaches, however, that Qigong is much more than a set of breathing and physical exercises. It is, in fact, a key to unveiling the mysteries of life and the world. In traditional Taoism, Qigong practice can only be successful if the practitioner lives a good and principled life. This is the root of Dr. Hong's teachings on the key role of conscience. In Taoism, Qi is the original substance of the universe. In the ancient Taoist book Lei Tzu, attributed to a master also called Lei Tzu, who imparted his teachings around the year 400 before the Jesus Christ, we read, I quote, "There was a primal simplicity, there was a primal commencement, there were primal beginnings, there was a primal material. The primal simplicity preceded the appearance of Qi. The primal commencement was the beginning of the Qi. The primal beginnings were the Qi beginning to assume shape. The primal material was the Qi when it began to assume substance." End of quote. At the level of the macrocosm, the universe, the Qi guarantees the harmony of the yin and yang. In the writings attributed to Lao Tzu himself, the semi-legendary founder Taoist, we find the statement that, I quote, 10,000 things carry yin and embrace yang. Through unification by Qi, they achieve harmony. Thus we see that it is the function of Qi to unify the appearance of yin and with reality yang of the 10,000 things. End of quote. At the level of the human macrocosm, Qi is the life force that is crucial for our physical and psychological well-being. The great Taoist master Chen Tzu, who lived between the 4th and 3rd century before the Jesus Christ, reported, I quote, "Master Tzu said that the barrier keeper yin, the perfect man can walk under water without choking, can tread on fire without being burned, and can travel above the 10,000 things without being frightened. May I ask how he manages this?" End of quote. The barrier keeper yin replied, "This is because he guards his Qi." Practices promoting the good circulation of Qi as old as Taoism. They include breathing techniques and physical exercises, but they were never presented as separated from self-cultivation and a good moral life. Just as it happened to Reiki, groups teaching Qigong have often been slandered as cults or what in Chinese are called evil, heterodox teachings, Sijiao. Mainland China has banned several Qigong groups. It only allows Qigong to be practiced under the supervision of the government and in versions stripped of all spiritual references. In the case of Taijimen, its teachings were slandered in the 1996 crackdown as a form of spiritual fraud, although Taiwanese courts finally recognized that there was no fraud, or more precisely, the real fraud was in how false accusations have been fabricated. It seems paradoxical that those who help others and advocate for a harmonious life based on a healthy circulation of the vital energy and conscious self-cultivation often meet with opposition, discrimination, and slander. One main reason may be that these teachings open the mind and teach to think independently, something authoritarian bureaucrats never like. However, teaching on Qi has sustained the spiritual experience of millions for more than 2,000 years, as we know. They will remain when the memory of obtuse bureaucrats will have long since been forgotten. In the 50s, archaeologists found in China 12 jade pieces. They dated to the 6th century BC, describing basic Qigong techniques and concluding with the warning, I quote, "Whoever follows this will live. Whoever acts contrary to it will die," end of quote. The reference was to eternal spiritual life, the most important gift of them all, which Taijimen and other genuine schools' teachings how to mobilize Qi offer to our suffering humanity. For this, they should be commended and supported. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you. And as I said in the beginning, we will discuss in this session both what is Taijimen and its teachings about conscience and Qigong, and the problem of freedom of religion or belief Taijimen has encountered in Taiwan. And we have now Linda Chen from Dalhousie University in Canada, who will give us an overview of what is normally called the Taijimen case. So Linda, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ms. Imam. Hello everyone, thank you for joining our session. My name is Linda Chen and I'm a Taijimen Dizi and a disciple. Over the past 28 years, I have dedicated myself to daily practice of Taijimen Qigong and meditation. The profound wisdom of Eastern traditions imparted from my Shifu, Dr. Hong Daozi, Zhangren of the Taijimen, has guided me to embrace my best nature and follow the right path toward realizing my utmost potential in life. Our Taijimen Dizi come from diverse backgrounds and live in different parts of the world. Personally, I'm a postdoctoral research associate in the medical field at Dalhousie University on the east coast of Canada. In this talk, I have chosen not to rely on a PowerPoint presentation. My intention is to engage with you face-to-face, heart-to-heart, to provide a deeper understanding of the essence of the Taijimen and the education it provides. I'm honored to be part of the Parliaments of World Religions Conference in Chicago this year. The previous conference I attended was a virtual one in 2021, held amid the pandemic. As Parliament of World Religions has a long history of bringing together participants from around the world, fostering unity among diverse religious and spiritual community, and promoting peace, social harmony, and respect for all beliefs, an endeavor closely aligned with Taijimen's core mission. My initial exposure to interfaith education did not come from textbooks. It was from a video that I watched during Christmas of 1999. The video captured a ceremonial prayer event organized by Taijimen on September 25th of that year, just 4 days after a devastating earthquake struck central Taiwan. causing significant loss of life and injuries. Having grown up in a family with a devout Buddhist grandma and attended a Christian high school in Taiwan and later studied at a Catholic-founded university in Canada, I had encountered various religious and spiritual practices throughout my early life journey, but always in isolation from one another. It was not until my early 20s when I viewed that particular video that I witnessed Dr. Hong inviting leaders and representatives from numerous religious and spiritual groups in Taiwan to offer their heartfelt prayer to their respective faith tradition. They stood side by side on stage, and each adorned in their ceremonial attire, sincerely reciting their prayer one after the other. I must admit that I was utterly amazed and even taken aback by this display of unity and harmony among diverse faiths. The experience left a profound impact on me. Although Dr. Hong did not label it as an interfaith movement, he exemplified the true meaning of love and peace in action, teaching me the valuable lesson of oneness, all is one, without the need for verbal expression. His approach to education, his deeds encompasses an array of methods, all aligned with the principle of Tao. Notably, Dr. Hong leads by living example, taking actions instead of merely just speaking, and genuinely practice what he preaches. To him, every life situation is an opportunity for teaching and learning. Taijimen's approach to education is comprehensive. The aim of Taijimen Qigong Academy is to promote the traditional essence of Chinese culture and to advance the physical, mental, and spiritual well-being of world citizens. Much like a caring father, Shifu imparts the wisdom of life to his Dizi, who are similar to student children. The Taijimen culture, with over 6,000 years of traditions, has been passed down holistically, generations after generation, from Shifu to Dizi. With valuable lessons, life lessons, moral values, and profound wisdom imparted that often extend beyond the boundaries of formal education received in schools. I believe these teachings to be essential for all global citizens, contributing to a more enriched and enlightened society. For individuals like myself who are passionate about continuous learning, Taijimen offer not only lifelong opportunities for personal growth and development, but also life wisdoms for embracing changes and challenges in life. The pandemic, which I refer to as a teacher for humanity, has claimed countless lives and inflicted deep sorrow, pain, and trauma that may linger for generations. As a medical scientist, I feel a sense of hopelessness at times, knowing that the research I study may take 10, 20, or more years to develop into treatments for patients. I ponder the fate of humanity, wondering if we have 10, 20, or 30 more years before the next pandemic, catastrophic natural disasters, or war threaten us all. These concerns have driven me to contemplate what I, as a global citizen, and my communities can do to address our future. Upon learning that the theme for the 2023 Parliaments of World Religions convening is a call to conscience defending freedom and human rights, I was elated and immediately registered. I feel empowered by the like-minded souls worldwide who share the same vision and are eager to collaborate in raising awareness of the topic that are dear to our hearts. Dr. Hong has long been committed to get education on human rights, freedom of religions or belief, tax, justice, and global sustainable development. His advocacy for conscience-based education has been exemplary, culminating to the initiation of International and Era of Conscience movement in 2014, which ultimately led to the United Nations proclamation of April 5th as the International Day of Conscience in 2019. Through my involvement with the NGO FOPAL, Federation of World Peace and Love, founded by Dr. Hong, and as a disciple of Tai Zimen, I have come to understanding that conscience is the key to a sustainable future for all. Conscience serves as a common ground and language of humanity, guiding us to make these wise decisions for ourselves, our community, our environment, and our planet. By embracing conscience, we foster mutual understanding, effectively bridging the divides that may arise from diverse backgrounds and cultural differences, allowing us to address challenges with empathy and discernment. Hence, a hope for a brighter future for all. As we explore Tai Zimen's journey to fight for conscience and justice during this session, I must acknowledge that the cases of social injustice and human rights violations are unfortunately not uncommon. They include the Tai Zimen case, where we have been targeted by unjust accusation, and even after we have been recognized as totally innocent by courts of law, we have continued to be harassed by ill-founded tax bills. However, what sets apart my Shifu, Dr. Hong, is the way he has guided us, Dizi, in facing this injustice with unwavering dedication, tireless hard work, remarkable patience, and unyielding perseverance for the past 27 years. Throughout this process, we have exhausted all available legal remedies, initiated several successful international movements, advocated for freedom and human rights with a stance of peace, conscience, and compassion. Our collective efforts are fueled by the hope of awakening conscience of the bureaucrats who harass us, leading to the eventual clearing of our name. But more importantly, we aspire to create a future where all individuals, including future generations, can thrive in a genuine democratic society where human rights are sincerely respected. As my fellow Tai Zimen sisters share their perspective in the next 5 presentations, they will shed more light on different aspects of our remarkable journey. In summary, the future happiness of humankind hinges on our universal understanding of love, peace, and conscience, the very essence of the Tai Zimen's teachings. Let us communicate heart to heart, take meaningful actions. People is power. No one can turn around world alone. Just as the heart requires synchronized signals from all different types of cells in the heart to create one heartbeat, I believe we are all connected. Let us allow the signals of conscience to flow through each of our hearts, resonating with the healthy rhythm of love, feeling harmonious pulse of peace, allowing the heart of mankind to beat strongly in harmony, and empowering our positive energy to course through the beautiful planet that we share. Again, thanks for the opportunity for me.
Now we will hear more about the Tai Zimen case from Liu Yinchun, who is the managing director of a biotechnology company in the Netherlands.
Thank you. Thank you, Massimo. My name is Ying. I come from the Netherlands. I manage a biotechnology company there. When I was 9 years old, I became a Tai Zimen Dizi, following my Shifu, Dr. Hong, to practice Qigong and learn hard Kung Fu while discovering the purpose and meaning of my life. Today, I want to share my family's experience as part of Tai Zimen's journey fighting for conscience and justice. In fact, today is a very special date because exactly 1 year ago today, my father passed away. My father was also a Tai Zimen Dizi. More than 30 years ago, after joining Tai Zimen and learning Kung Fu from Dr. Hong, he discovered his inner force that helped him to tackle life's never-ending challenges. And as a result, my father recommended my whole family to join Tai Zimen. And my family has since then evolved from an ordinary household that everyone was busy with his or her own activities to a family full of energy and happiness and had common topics and shared beliefs. And our collective faith lies in self-cultivation, altruism, as told by Dr. Hong, and conscience, culture, fostering love and peace. Well, unfortunately, 27 years ago, something happened that completely changed our lives. That was 1996, when Taiwan held its first democratic presidential election. The then ruling party, Kuomintang, won the election. But Kuomintang was not happy because some religious groups supported its opponents. As a result, Kuomintang initiated a religious crackdown, targeting some religious groups, famous ones such as Foguangshan, Zhongtaishan Monastery, and the group of Master Miaotian, and so on. Religious group leaders were arrested and charged with religious fraud and tax evasion, and some religious gathering places were forced to close. Eventually, the majority of these defendants were acquitted. And this part of social and political context is described and documented in this book called The Victim of Truth, written by a former Taiwanese prosecutor, Lin Da, and published in 2000. But mind that Tai Chi-men did not for any political party, but also became a victim of this political purge. Now let me tell you what happened to us. On December 19, 1996, then prosecutor Hou Kuan-ren raided 19 Tai Chi-men academies and Dizhi's private houses. He did not find any evidence, but he still detained Dr. Hong, his wife, and 2 Dizi. Even more, Hou Kuan-ren froze all their assets, even assets unrelated to Tai Chi-men's activities. And that left Dr. Hong and his wife nothing to live on. And moreover, in the following year, in 1997, Hou Kuan-ren violated the principle of confidential investigation, and he published his indictment, which was full of absurdities. For example, he accused Tai Chi-men defendants for raising goblins. And for such an unscientific accusation, he even tried to search evidence. Of course, he could not find any evidence. So he took this sword made of peach wood and claimed that's the evidence. And such a piece of evidence, of course, was not presented to the court and was eventually lost. And although Hou Kuan-ren's indictment and behaviors were so absurd, but this gave the Taiwanese media a chance to stir up the public opinions and associated Tai Chi-men with the image of a mysterious cult. At that time, my family suffered from a lot of misunderstandings and doubts from our relatives and friends, but we were never afraid. Especially because my parents, they had professional legal background. They graduated from one of the most famous law schools in Taiwan. And they knew very well that Tai Chi-men had not committed to any crimes. And from my parents, I learned this firm and determination attitude to discern right from wrong, true from false, exactly what Dr. Hong has told us. Well, after more than 10 years of suffering, finally, the Supreme Court of Taiwan acquitted all Tai Chi-men defendants in 2007. The court confirmed that there was no religious fraud, no tax evasion, no violation of tax law. And moreover, the court recognized that Dizhi's act for paying Shifu respect with gifts is tax exempt. We saw that the Taiwanese authorities finally gave us justice, but we were wrong. The National Taxation Bureau, NTB, continue issuing ill-founded tax bills for another 16 years. 16 years. Eventually, NTB had to correct most of the tax bills except for 1 year, and that's the year of 1992. And NTB's argument is that this tax bill was based on the court's decision in 2006. But the fact is, the Supreme Court made the final decision and verdict in 2007, which proved the decision in 2006 was wrong and invalid, and therefore the tax bill of 1992 should have never been established. But the NTB insisted on enforcing this tax bill, totally ignoring the decision from the court, not respecting the law whatsoever, and this resulted in the Administrative Enforcement Agency to confiscate Taijimen's land intended for self-cultivation center. And this problem remains unsolved even till today. On top of all of this, throughout all the 27 years, Dr. Hong and his wife had never committed to any crime, but they were repeatedly restricted from traveling abroad, accumulating to 2,233 days for Dr. Hong, 782 days for Mrs. Hong. And that made them unable to even visit their children who study abroad. And the Taiwanese government's abuse of power, as well as persecution of Taijimen Shifu and Dizi, seriously violating the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, especially Article 13 on the right to free movement and Article 18 on the freedom of religion or belief. In the years of experiencing the wrongful case of Taijimen, I deeply realized all this injustice happened because of the 5 poisons of human heart that Dr. Hong constantly reminds us of. What are these 5 poisons in our heart? They are greed, anger or hatred, ignorance, arrogance, and doubt. And the only solution to eradicate these 5 poisons from our heart is conscience. One must have conscience, and conscience requires courage. With courage, justice can prevail. And through justice, can all living beings experience peace in the world. Coming back to my family, my father, as a Taijimen Dizi, never wavered in his mission and responsibilities all his life, which is to fight for human rights and justice. Even shortly before he passed away, he took to the street, called on Taiwanese government to govern with conscience and implement tax reform, and to return Taijimen's land. My father, as well as other Taijimen Dizi, following Dr. Hong's teachings, understand that our efforts are not just to redress Taijimen's wrongful case, but to help many innocent people in the world who are persecuted by tax and state power. We are fighting for their freedoms and rights, as well as for those of our future generation. These 2 are my daughters. They are aged 5 and 7, and they also become Taijimen Dizi this year. And they started learning Qigong, hard Kung Fu, and expressing their innate conscience. So, Taijimen's journey is about fighting for conscience and justice, and I sincerely hope that everyone here today can join us. Uphold conscience, persist in doing the right thing, bravely defend human rights and freedom, and let our world develop sustainably under the guidance of love and peace. Thank you.
Thank you, and we have now Lini, another Dizi, that means disciple of Taijimen, which will continue in this parade of personal experiences around Taijimen and Taijimen case.
Well, hello. Thank you, Massimo. Hello everyone, my name is Lin, and today I want to share my personal experience during Taijimen's battle of belief, pursuing truth, justice, and human rights. So the other speakers in this session have summarized the Taijimen case. After enduring 27 years of state violence and persecution, we will eventually prevail in this battle to defend truth and human rights. We will continue to fight for justice and for conscience, which is the general theme of this year's Parliament of the World's Religions. And at the same time, we express gratitude to the scholars and experts from all over the world who have accompanied us and stood up for us on this journey. Last month, Taijimen's Shifu, Dr. Hong Daozi, delivered a speech at an international forum conveying the true spirit of the unwavering pursuit of justice by Taijimen. One particular passage from the speech deeply touched me. Was said, quote, Thank you. Taijimen martial arts practitioners resolve adversity with unwavering courage, much like a sword forged in the heat of challenges. We transform every bitter and sweet experience into nourishment for self-improvement and motivation to help others. This passage also embodies how our Shifu guides us to walk on the path of seeking the truth and promoting love and peace. The fabricated Taijimen case has shed light on the fact that parts of Taiwan's authoritarian past have been allowed to silently erode Taiwan's current democracy. The case also demonstrates how bureaucrats abuse their power and cause great harm not only to Taijimen, but also to other Taiwanese citizens. After suffering, we can truly understand the pain of other victims and become a phoenix, which you can see on the screen, reborn in the flames, which transforms the adversity into a driving force that promotes human rights and tax and legal reform in Taiwan. The tax authorities' failure to abide by the 2007 final judgment of the Supreme Court has resulted in the prolonging of the Taijimen case. The reason behind this delay is not because the existing laws are unable to resolve the case. Rather, it is due to the fact that some in the current Taiwanese government lack the courage and conscience to admit old mistakes and rectify past wrongdoings. This demonstrates the violation of the Constitution. Next, please. Thank you. The Constitution and also, like the right side, the 2 UN Covenants on Human Rights. Under President Ma Ying-jeou's administration, Taiwan has incorporated the 2 international human rights covenants into domestic law since 2009, requiring all levels of government agencies to exercise their powers to protect human rights. Additionally, within 2 years of its implementation, all branches of government were required to complete, enhance, amend, or abolish any laws that didn't conform the 2 covenants. And this serves as a symbol of Taiwan's commitment and resolve to uphold the principles of 2 covenants, learn from its past mistakes, and work toward bringing Taiwan's democracy and human rights standards into line with those of other democratic countries. Although the 2 covenants have been incorporated into Taiwan's domestic legislation for 14 years, some bureaucrats still continue to ignore them. Not only did the National Taxation, next please, the National Taxation Bureau on the left side, NTB, and the Administration Enforcement Agency seize our property, but they also forcibly auctioned off our land and illegally took it into state ownership. And the land ended up in the hands of the NTB and Central Area and the NTB of Taipei in the year 2020. Several current laws and international human rights treaties have been broken by these illegal actions, including Article 53 of Taiwan's Compulsory Enforcement Act states that portraits, memorial tablets, tombstones, and other items used for worship or religious ceremonies shall not be seized. And the next one, Article 15 of Taiwan's Constitution states that the right to life, work, and property shall be protected. And next one. Article 18 of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, ICCPR, states that everyone shall have the right to freedom of thought, conscience, and religion. And next, no one shall be subject to coercion which would impair his freedom to have or to adopt a religion or belief of his choice. And next one, Article 17 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights declares that everyone has a right to own property alone as well as in association with others. No one shall be arbitrarily deprived of his property. However, it is astonishing that Taiwan's tax authorities can ignore the Constitution, the two covenants, and even the international standards of human rights, resulting in state violence that not only targets us, but also causes untold numbers of Taiwanese to suffer. In recent years, compulsory enforcement of taxes topped a record-breaking 14.31 million cases in one single year, which you can see on the slide. More than half of the Taiwanese citizens' rights were thus put in jeopardy. Next, Reverend Pushin Dali, who was personally appointed by President Tsai Ing-wen as the first Taiwan ambassador at large for religious freedom, has also assured U.S. President Biden of these commitments. His appointment symbolizes Taiwan's commitment to safeguarding religious freedom or belief and upholding democracy and human rights. However, it is deeply concerning that in the 21st century, after Taiwan's transition to democracy, such severe violations of human rights, religious freedom, property rights, and even the right to survival, as seen in the Taijuman case, continue to occur. The core purpose of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights is to ensure that people can enjoy freedom from fear and abuse. If the Taiwanese government continues to tolerate rogue bureaucrats who seriously undermine the foundation of Taiwan and harm its people, it will erode the people's trust in the government, and this will have a devastating impact in Taiwan's future. Taijimen inherits the essence of Taoism, encompassing the culture of the Tao, the wisdom of the Tao, and the transmission of the Tao. In the ancient Eastern world over 6,000 years ago, our Chinese ancestor Fu Xi, Zu Shi, drew the primordial Bagua, emphasizing the principles of yin and yang, which represents the concepts of good and bad, right and wrong, true and false. And I'm now 28. I'm deeply grateful that my parents brought me to Taijumen at a young age and really appreciate the wisdom of balancing yin and yang and what my Sifu has taught me. As you can see on the screen, next. In year 2016, I'm in India, and next, in year 2018, I'm in Austria, and next, 2019, in Australia to attend Taxpayers Human Rights Conference, and next, in year 2019, I'm also in India to attend the Chief Justice Conference of the World, and next, in 2022, I'm in New York, USA, and next, 2023, I'm in Turkey, and now I am here in Chicago. And so I have also stood up countless times to advocate for human rights for people and hosted numerous human rights education forums and online programs as the screen. Throughout the journey, I have learned the immense love that my Shifu has for all world citizens, and I hope to contribute my efforts to bring a positive energy of goodness and love to the world. Dr. Han once said, quote, "Conscience, wisdom, culture, education, and economy are the goals to change the world and ensure sustainable future development. They are the roots of creating a prosperous and happy nation where the people can live in peace and prosperity. Good culture leads to good education leads to a good economy leads to a better life, which is the common aspiration of humanity. And this is end quote. May those in power uphold their conscience prioritize the well-being of people, and abide by the law, by the rule of law. We also pray that all of the unjust cases will be rectified so that everyone can enjoy a happy and fulfilling life. Thank you.
Thank you, and continuing in presenting experiences of Dizzy, we now have Claire Wang, a graduate student at Harvard University.
Thank you, Dr. Massimo. Dr. Hong, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Good morning. My name is Claire, and I just mentioned I am a Taijimen Dizi, and I am a graduate student at Harvard University. While the learning environment and academic resources at Harvard have provided me with opportunities to pursue excellence and work towards improving the condition of my fellow human beings in the field of public health, the most precious aspect has been the transformative change in my life brought about by growing up in Taijimen. My Shifu, Dr. Hong, has taught us the wisdom of conscience and justice and has guided us to maintain inner tranquility in an imbalanced world, using balanced wisdom to resolve conflicts. I joined Taijimen at the age of 7, and for the past 18 years, I have been deeply influenced by the teachings and guidance of conscience. As you have heard from other papers in this session, Taijimen has endured an unjust accusation for 27 years. An additional detail about the Taijimen case is that during this long period of time, the National Tax Bureau repeatedly attempted to negotiate and suggested paying a sum of money to expedite the resolution of the case. However, my Shifu remained unmoved by these attempts. He told me, throughout history, there have been many who embark on the path of self-cultivation, but few who attain enlightenment. The key lies in the self-cultivators' unwavering commitment to discerning right from wrong and their pursuit of the truth. For the past 27 years, my Shifu has upheld the 1,000-year-old cultural heritage of the ancient Qigong martial arts tradition in our practice. To me, the crucial point of the Taijimen case that has been presented to you in this session is that the Supreme Court ruled in 2007 that Taijimen was not guilty and did not owe taxes. The defendants received compensation from the state of wrongful imprisonment, and our name was cleared. This is a truth that should never be distorted. Our belief is that fairness and justice will prevail. In the face of adversity and persecution, seeing my Shifu's ability to hold steadfast to his beliefs and values, unwaveringly defending the spirit of conscience, deeply moved me. It also motivated me to actively participate in the campaign of the redress of the Taijimen case. We visited various government offices in Taiwan, and just like our volunteers, Lily just mentioned, including the executive yuan and legislative yuan, to petition government officials. Additionally, I participated in domestic and international forums on religious freedom, where I shared significance of the Taijimen case with other social organizations and individuals. I called for the respect of values, such as conscience and freedom of religion of belief. These experiences have not only helped me understand the importance of conscience in both individual and societal contexts, but also reminded me that in my academic career and interactions with others, I should, as Dr. Hong has mentioned and has taught us, regard conscience as inner compass. By taking a minute for daily self-reflection, observing my own inner self, and discerning the people and things around me, I can gain a deeper understanding of what constitutes eternal values and how to conduct myself in life. Only by doing so that I live up to the expectation of both others and myself. Me, as an epidemiology graduate student, I have learned that the conscientious approach to problem solving is essential. It means being aware of the impact of our actions on others, on the environment, and on future generations. It also means taking responsibility for our actions and striving to make choices that have positive outcomes. For example, during my involvement in substance abuse policy initiatives with the State Department of Health, I constantly remind myself to ensure that the trials I design here have high level of rigor and ethics, so that the results are valid and reliable. This includes considering factors such as patient safety, ethical considerations, and minimizing the potential for bias. For me, it is very important to be conscientious in my professional work because the safety and health of patients are at stake. I also believe that a robust conscience-based health policy can bring about improved health outcomes for the public and enhance access to healthcare for everyone. Also, as a generation of digital natives, we have unprecedented access to an explosion of knowledge and perspectives throughout technology, the internet, the artificial intelligence. This abundance of information offers new opportunities for learning and growing, but also presents the challenge of how to discern what source we may trust. It reminds us that each individual decision we make can influence the courses of lives, and the decision made by the leaders can potentially impact the lives of millions of people. In the course of the Taijimen case's development, if every individual, whether government or administrative personnel, has acted with conscience, this case would not have dragged on for 27 years, nor would it have hindered judicial reform in Taiwan or the efforts of the Taijimen Dizi to promote love and peace. The Taijimen case is an instance of unjust and discriminatory treatment, which has caused significant distress and harm on Taijimen and its practitioners. It also reflects the flaw in the judicial system's protection of conscience and freedom of religious or belief. However, the steadfastness of the Taijimen disciples represents a path guided by conscience, leading to freedom, shared human rights, and happiness for all. Today, I would like to share with all of you how to cultivate a pure heart. In the midst of our busy daily lives, do we take the time to truly examine our inner selves? And we can dedicate a few moments each day to reflect on our own day, contemplate our emotions and thoughts. Are we excessively worried and anxious? Or are we able to maintain a joyful mindset and positive thinking? So now, let us spend a little time each day praying for the world with the intention of blessings with conscience, doing good with sincerity, wishing peace with love. Only when we hold the world in our hearts can we consciously consider how we can contribute to it. At the same time, we will discover our own shortcomings and continually strive for self-improvement. Most importantly, we need to understand that even a single thought of goodness or evil can have a real impact on our world, our planet, and the generations to come. So lastly, may each of us possess a clear and pure heart, as well as the power to bring peace and goodness to the world. Let us work together to make this world a better place. Thank you.
And now we have another Dixie, whose English name is Athena, who will continue this round of testimonies.
Thank you, Dr. Massimo. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. My name is Athena, and I graduated from Taipei Medical University last year. On the eve of my graduation, from late May to early July 2022, I traveled to Sweden with the Taijimen Cultural Group to participate in United Nations Stockholm Plus 50 Conference on Environment. I went on to attend the 25th Eurasia Economic and Trade Summit in the Turkey, and the second International Religious Freedom Summit in Washington, D.C., and also traveled to Lucknow, India, to participate in the International Conference of Chief Justice of the World in November, to promote a culture of love, peace, and conscience. To date, my Shifu Grandmaster, Dr. Hong Daozi, had led his Dizi, like disciple, to visit more than 300 cities and 101 countries, with more than 3,000 cultural performances at home and abroad, attended by more than 200,000 participants. After visiting many countries, I deeply realized that regardless of where they are from, people all over the world have the same common wish. They hope that there will be no war. At the Union Station in Washington, D.C., I invited a grandmother to sign a declaration of the movement of the era of conscience. He said that she has Scottish, German, and Ukrainian blood, and that her mother is a Ukrainian. When she said this, her eyes, which were originally clear, instantly full of tears. Although we have never met each other before, we feel like the family members who had not seen each other for a long time. And now, at that time, we embraced each other and cried. The cultural exchange activities organized by Taijimen for promoting love and peace internationally have received strong support from heads of states and leaders from all walks of life, and the results are clear for all to see. Stockholm Plus 50, convened by the United Nations General Assemblies, took place on June 2nd to 3rd, 2022, under the theme, A Healthy Planet for the Prosperity of All, Our Responsibility or Opportunity. The year 2022 marked the 50th anniversary of the United Nations Conference on the Human Environment, UNCEN, held in Stockholm in 1972, which was the first global conference focusing on ecology. In response to this meaningful conference to bless the world and the environment, Taijimen, in collaboration with the Federations of World Peace and Love and the United Nations ECO-SOC, accredited NGO associations of world peace and world citizens, organized several ceremonies of ringing the bell of world peace and love in Stockholm from June 1st to 3rd, as well as a hybrid physical and online Stockholm Plus 50 related events. And during the conference, Dr. Eldos Menas, the 89-year-old former director of the United Nations Environment Program, UNEP, also rang the bell. He said, I know that the peace is the most important goal we have, but we also know that it is the most difficult one. So it requires all our commitment, energy, and conviction. And I'm very honored to have been invited here today. Conscience is an essence of environmental protection, he emphasized. He was a veteran of the world's first Earth Summit 50 years ago, and had now been invited back to Sweden for Stockholm Plus 50. He encouraged young people to return to Stockholm Plus 100 in 2072. And I was so touched by the feeling of passing down the torch in the present. And so since I was a child, I have studied the wisdom of Taiji Yin and Yang philosophy with my Shifu, Dr. Hong Daozi, and have traveled to many countries. I realized that, for me, the greatest joy and value in my life is to have a strong, courageous, and compassionate heart as a martial art practitioner and to do my best to protection what I love and what is right, as long as I have a life to live. Similarly, the peace is not something that can be achieved by only one person alone. Rather, it is a matter of each individual reflecting thoroughly on his or her own inner self, exercising good influence, making the right decisions, and also starting a positive cycle to change the world around us, which is a key to protecting human rights, freedom, and democracy. However, as other speakers in this panel explained, in Taiwan, we are also confronted with a 27-year-long persecution and harassment through taxes. On August 21st, 2020, I was there when the land reserved for Taiji Man's cultivation and educational site in Miaoli was auctioned off by the National Taxation Bureau, NTB, in conjunction with the Administrative Enforcement Agency, and confiscated outright. In addition to what other speakers have already reported, I want to emphasize that this piece of land is of great significance to all Taijimen Dizi. It is a sacred mountain that our Shifu Grandmaster, Dr. Hong Daozi, spent many years of hard work to identify. It is irreplaceable. It is a place for Taijimen Shifu and Dizi to cultivate their spiritual and propagate their teachings, which are rooted in esoteric Taoism, also open to practitioners of all religions. The land qualifies as one set aside as a place of worship, and as such should not be the object of seizure or auction. According to the United Nations General Comment number 22 to the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, ICCPR, this is unfortunately ignored by Taiwanese authorities. And coming to my personal experience, from the time I heard that the land was about to be illegally auctioned, I demonstrated in the front of Administrative Enforcement Agency and the Ministry of Finance every day for 2 months, regardless of the wind, sun, or the rain, or even the heat of 36 degrees Celsius. We came out shouting, demanding that the government officials stop the ridiculous illegal auctions. During this period of time, even though I wanted to cry every day when I opened my eyes, the strength that sustained me was the suffering of many victims of Taiwanese people, by suffering by the dysfunctional tax systems. The face of every people who rolled down their car's windows and gave a thumbs up to cheer us in everything. And the presence of my Shifu, who was obviously a very busy person, but was always there to guide and encourage us. And the wisdom of yin and yang philosophy, which my Shifu taught me from my very young age, enabled me to distinguish right from wrong, to love my country, cherish the Shifu and Dizi, similar to master and disciple relationship, and the freedom of belief. The 27 years of human rights persecution have been a torment as a pain for many Taijimen Dizi. However, as the lyrics of the song "We Can Change the World" said, just a little word of love, just a little word of hope, just a little word of care and share, then the world will come as one. I believe that as long as we kept working hard, when the old people follow their guidance of their conscience, there will be no more persecution, or human rights problems will all be solved. The more people of conscience are united, and the power of good will triumph over darkness. Thanks for listening.
And now we have the last testimony of this series by Joyce Wang.
Thank you, Dr. Massimo. Hello everyone, my name is Joyce. I'm currently a sophomore majoring in digital technology design at the National Taipei University of Education. In addition to my studies, I'm also a Taiji Mendizi. As information technology students, we are constantly reminded of the ever-advancing era of digital technology. This serves as a crucial reminder that embracing emerging ideas and fostering active curiosity and inquisitiveness are essential to staying relevant and avoiding obsolescence in this rapidly changing landscape. In my role as a Dizi, in an ancient Qigong and martial arts Menpai, my Shifu, Dr. Han, has taught me valuable lessons. I have learned to grow internally, develop self-awareness, and care for the world around me. I feel fortunate to experience the growth and enlightenment that Shifu has imparted to our Dizi. I have also become aware of the challenges that spiritual communities face regarding freedom of religion, belief, and thoughts. Freedom of religion, thought, and belief is a fundamental human right and a cornerstone of modern democratic societies. This freedom grants individuals the right to freely choose, practice, and express their religious and philosophical beliefs. Safeguarding and respecting these rights are crucial for creating an open, tolerant, and diverse society. The presence and practice of these freedoms foster peace, mutual understanding, respect, and harmonious social interactions. I grew up in Taijimen since I was young, and it feels like my second home. Taijimen brothers and sisters are like my family, always showing care for my well-being, making sure I'm well-fed and clothed. I deeply understand that Taijimen is a wonderful place to learn happiness, positive thinking, to exercise the body, and achieve spiritual growth. My Shifu serves as a role model, guiding me in life through both words and deeds, teaching me to approach challenges with wisdom and courage, and empowering me to overcome difficulties. In my second year of junior high, I participated in a youth forum advocating for government tax reforms. To my surprise, the video of my speech quickly went viral, reaching 3 million views within a week. The sudden fame left me feeling overwhelmed and even scared. With all eyes on me at school and facing various discussions behind my back. At the time, my Shifu encouragement and wise words helped me find courage and see it as an honorable achievement. He assured me of his support. I'm grateful for the words my Shifu said, as they calmed my heart and gave me the confidence to share my thoughts with teachers and classmates. I remember how in June 2022, I went to Turkey with my Shifu and Taijimen brothers and sisters to promote the values of love, peace, and conscience. We participated in the 25th Eurasian Economic Summit. One memorable moment was when we gathered in a square outside the Tokapi Palace. We began singing our love and peace song, and gradually our passion touched the hearts of those around us, and they joined in. Together, we formed a large circle, holding hands, singing, and dancing to the music. The atmosphere was filled with joy and positivity, leaving a profound impact on everyone present. During that moment, I felt not only the love we gave to them, but also the two-way, warm love we were exchanging with each other. I learned from my Shifu that the concept of spreading love and peace is not limited by language, culture, race, and skin color. A sincere smile and simple words are all that's needed to feel the warmth and unity among people. Love knows no boundaries. After witnessing our performance, Dr. Akan Saveh, the founder of the Eurasian Economic Summit and president of the Momoro Group Foundation for Strategic and Social Studies, was deeply touched. He remarked on the way we look at everyone with genuine and sincere eyes. This is something our Shifu has taught us, that a truly kind and sincere heart can touch others, and a loving gaze can tell a story without words. Taijimen Shifu, brothers and sisters, have traveled to 5 continents, visited more than 100 countries, and participated in more than 3,000 domestic and international cultural performances, promoting love, peace, and conscience, and bringing Taiwan to the world. As you have heard in this session, despite these positive contributions, Taijimen has faced ongoing oppression and persecution from the National Taxation Bureau, leading to the unjust confiscation and auctioning off of our sacred land in 2020. I will add a few words about my personal experience of this auction. During the auction, I was present and felt enraged. Taijimen brothers and sisters held banners and placards, and the younger ones used microphones to demand the government to return our land. However, officials in red vests, using their own microphones, claimed they had legally acquired Taijimen's land in Mali. I could not accept this claim as legal because it seemed grossly unjust. For over a month, we stood in front of the enforcement agency of the Ministry of Justice, reminding them daily that we regarded their actions as illegal and amounting to an unlawful expropriation. We pleaded with them to halt the execution. But for more than 40 days, we received no direct response from officials. Despite enduring scorching sun and heavy rain, we persevered and never gave up. I was puzzled by how government officials could disregard the people's demands in such a manner. During the auction, we raised our voices, demanding that the police bring out senior officials to answer our questions, but they did not show up. Professor Chen Zhilong, a former law professor at National Taiwan University, openly criticized the auction, stating that what happened on August 21st, 2020, was evidence of the enforcement agency of Ministry of Justice incompetence. He condemned the auction of Taijimen's land, alleging it was an illegal, corrupt, and oppressive action. According to him, it was a premeditated act involving a collusion between the enforcement agency of Ministry of Justice and the National Taxation Bureau of the Ministry of Finance to forcefully seize private property, revealing a flagrant abuse of power. This situation left me bewildered and distressed about how a few unscrupulous officials can manipulate an entire government so brazenly. I believe that any sane individual would share my feeling. I thought that these bureaucrats are not just selling Taijimen's land. They are selling of Taiwan's democracy, rule of law, and national dignity. My Shifu instilled in me the values of being a principled individual and handling situations with integrity. They taught me to discern right from wrong, follow my conscience, and act with clarity and honesty. Despite facing government persecution, Taijimen practitioners remained steadfast in their pursuit of justice, human rights, love, and conscience. It is disheartening to witness in Taiwan, a country that we love and is generally known for upholding freedom and democracy. Government's actions that defy court rulings and infringe upon people's rights related to taxation and freedom of religion or belief. I would like to ask the relevant officials in the government, where is your sense of conscience? Ultimately, I hope that moral education will become deeply ingrained in all people's hearts, guiding them to find solutions to challenges and foster a road of love and harmony. The Taiji Man case will thus also be solved. Thank you.
Thank you. That was the last testimony, and I believe we can conclude this important session, but let me make two final comments. The first is that the Parliament of World Religions is not a scholarly conference, but it's also about praying, meditating, and experiencing spirituality and conscience. So let me say that it's very important for participants today to continue their experience by coming tomorrow to the performance Conscience Illuminating the World 2023 Taiji Man Global Prayers for Love and Peace, whose venue will be the exhibit hall on performance stage. And my second comment is very personal, and it is to thank Dr. Hong for being personally present in this session. And I'm reminded of a recent speech given in a seminar online by Peter Zörer, who is from the FOREF, from the European Forum on Freedom of Religion. And Peter Zörer mentioned it some years that the Nobel Peace Prize has not honored leaders who have fought specifically for human rights and freedom of religion or belief. And Peter Zörer expressed the wish that Dr. Hong may be considered as one of the worthy candidates for the Nobel Peace Prize. And let me join we all know there are many candidates, it's a political game, and there may be many factors influencing this choice, but let me express my personal and sincere wish that for all what it has done, Dr. Hong will be considered as a candidate for the Nobel Peace Prize. And with this comment, I declare this session as closed. Thank you.
Finally, we would like to have a group photo, and we would like to invite Dr. Hong to the stage, so we will have a press photo together. Okay?
结束了。